Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the best mice for Geometry Dash. And let me just say right off the bat, I do not recommend any mice that use mechanical switches. And I know that's a bummer. However, all mechanical switches will eventually wear down over time and probably will double click, especially if you've used it for a while. And that's just the unfortunate reality of mechanical switches. They will just wear down over time and will eventually double click. Yes, even Logitech mice, even like the G502, will eventually double click. And in fact, a lot of Geometry Dash players had to get replacement mice because their Logitech mice double clicked, which is why I recommend mice with optical switches. However, even then, optical switches can also be hit or miss. Like, for example, my Pulsar X2 HES, a pretty recent mouse with optical switches from Pulsar, double clicked on my copy. Sometimes I will admit, trying to intentionally make it double click. And how I did that, I basically just clicked it from the top of the mouse, like where this is, and that will basically cause it to sometimes vibrate the mouse switch, which will, on a lot of mice, register as a double click. However, on like a Razer mouse, for example, it doesn't. Like, the only time I got this to double click is when I was like really just at the ridge of the mouse, just like spamming, trying very hard to make it double click. So no, a lot of Razer mice do not double click, which is why I actually recommend Razer mice that use optical switches. Probably like Gen 2 or Gen 3 are your best bets. However, there's probably a lot of other mice out there where you can just change the debounce time and, you know, it won't double click no matter how hard you try. Maybe I just got unlucky with my X2 HES, I don't know. But yeah, as I said, even then, some mice are hit or miss with their optical switches. Some double click when you put it on even like a 4 milliseconds debounce time. Other mice don't. So you'll probably just have to search that up in your own time. And yeah, and some mice in fact do warn you when you put it on the 0 milliseconds debounce time that it could double click. So yeah, and the reason why I'm making such a big fuss about, you know, wanting a mouse to not double click is because double clicking in Geometry Dash is like the bane of every Geometry Dash player's existence. It is terrible. It completely throws off your game because you're not trying to intentionally click twice. You're just accidentally clicking twice, so that can completely throw off your gameplay. For example, like in UFO, if you just meant to click once, but it registered as a double click and it clicked twice, that can completely throw off your attempt and it could make you die. Which is why, again, I recommend a mouse that doesn't double click at all. Again, like a Razer mouse. However, unfortunately with Razer mice is that I hate Razer mice for this, and I already talked about this in my Viper version 2 first impressions video, but a lot of Razer mice have terrible encoders, like terrible scroll wheel encoders. So if you plan on playing any other game, especially games where it really relies on heavy scroll wheel usage, then I would recommend maybe looking somewhere else or getting probably an extended warranty if you don't want to go through Razer's kind of not great support, because in order to get through Razer's support, you have to provide a like video evidence of the issue. And unfortunately, with a lot of people that have like jumping scroll wheels, and including me with the DeathAdder version 3 Pro, which unfortunately developed the dreaded scroll jump issue, it is really hard to show evidence for just randomly jumping in a game, because you will most likely just have to record like your screen and you using the mouse. You can't just record like PC gameplay footage. So I don't know, it's like, it's really complicated just to show evidence for that, which is why I recommend, again, just getting like an extended warranty from somewhere so you can just replace it without having to go through a bunch of steps just to make the fall, just to maybe replace something under warranty. So yeah, that's basically it. As I said, if you play Geometry Dash at all, and if you're like anywhere skilled at all, like if you played a bunch of demons and you like beat a bunch of extreme demons as well, don't get a mouse that uses mechanical switches. Even like, again, the G502, I don't recommend, because again, a lot of Geometry Dash players just eventually have to replace that anyway because they use mechanical switches. And yes, I know Logitech uses something called Eager Debounce, which is what Razer uses as well. However, I had the G Pro X Superlight 2, which has optical switches as well, and that double clicked. I was still sometimes, yes, trying to make it double click. However, it did double click. That is a problem for me because sometimes I will just click in my normal position, like right here by my scroll wheel, and then other times my finger will just kind of naturally drift towards the top, and sometimes I can make the mouse vibrate, or not the mouse vibrate, but the mouse switch vibrate, and cause it to double click on a lot of mice. So again, I know this is a very complicated video already, but for the third time, I recommend probably like a Razer mouse where it basically will not double click at all, especially if you're not trying to make it double click, and especially Razer mice with optical switches, as I said. And yeah, that's basically it. I don't have a whole lot else to say, and that's going to be it. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.